fortunate in the university to get channeled at an early, right just after the war. I was at Berkeley working on a PhD, and I got a job on weekends growing beneficial insects. And so Saturdays and Sundays is a part-time job just since 1946, right after the war. And while I was a graduate student, I was working in biological pest control in really the only statewide Department of Biological Control in the United States. They had a small department in Hawaii University, but the only other real biological control was being done by the federal government, but it was smaller than the effort that the University of California was involved with. Prof. Harry Smith was the head of biological control, and we had our own statewide budget. We had a laboratory at Albany and near Berkeley, and then we had one at the citrus experiment station. It was before University of California at Riverside, but it was the citrus experiment station. And I was offered a job to work in a biological control project with a Dr. Paul Deke on the biological control of California red scale. At this time, all of citrus was sprayed regularly for California red scale and black scale and purple scale and mites and all kinds of things. About that time, the DDT began to be used a lot in citrus, and the consequence of that was that cotton cushion scale came back, was a serious pest in certain parts where they were using DDT a lot. My introduction to biological control was a weekend job. Prior to that, I had worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture before World War II in research at the citrus insect investigations on the Whittier College campus where I was going to school. That job was pretty much oil spray and hydrocyanide fumigation. That was the two materials that were being used. By the way, all of the citrus at that time was cover crop. Nearly everybody covered crop. It was usually a malva and a white mustard and vetch. And I suppose those are pests today because they planted them so as beneficial throughout all of citrus in Southern California. With this one, I discovered after working with red scale and counting dead and alive after oil spray or fumigation, and seeing all of these other classes of the red scale that something had happened to them naturally that we didn't know what that was when I was working with the USDA. At least my research leader wasn't able to tell me. I was 19 years old, learning fast, and when I learned that these were parasites and that there was such a thing as a parasitoid, biological control was not taught in the University of California at that time. We had our statewide research. It was designed for classical biological control, the importation of beneficial insects, and it just the way to learn it, you had to work there, and when I was offered a job after 2 years in the grad school, when I was offered a job as a technician, I jumped at it because there were so few jobs in biological control that the only way I was going to learn that was get in and go to work for it. And I wasn't really that pleased with what I was learning in entomology anyway, and it was seemed like an opportunity. So I got in, and for 15 years I worked in 5 years in citrus and avocados, and 10 years in vegetable and field crops with Dr. Van and Dr. Schlinger, and we imported a number of beneficial special insects, and I could see the nuts. I got in on the nuts and bolts of biological control, and of course habitat management came into this real fast because we needed to find farms that didn't spray, and the conventional farm was all spray, and so you went to the organic farms, and they weren't real prizes, and there weren't very many of them, and we had a survey of vegetable and field crop biological control that we went. So we spent a lot of time in the library, and the consequence of that is I got a very broad education, and at the same time I didn't have a PhD, so I didn't want to particularly stay in the university forever either. And so when the opportunity presented itself, I quit and went to work for Rincon Batova, which was just starting, which I helped start it. And my partner unfortunately died of cancer the first year, and so all of a sudden I was it. Sink or swim.